It's a pleasure to follow the Honourable Lady for York Central. I served on the Bill Committee too. Whilst many members of the House will think of politics in 2022 for other reasons, it will forever be the Levelling Up Bill year for me. But I think it shows, given the size of the amendment paper we still have in front of us today, the scale of issues that members have, that it is so vital to get this bill right to shape all of our communities going forward. And fundamentally what this bill is about, or certainly the planning sections of it, are competing demands on land use. I had my own amendments on the amendment paper up until yesterday around food security. But when I look through some of the amendments, new clause 73, new clause 101, new clause 123, there are still many amendments that do talk to the importance of ensuring that we get that balance when it comes to those competing demands for land right. And for me, representing a rural community, a farming community, 335 square miles of rural North Buckinghamshire, where 90% of the landmass of the constituency is agricultural land. We are seeing solar farm applications coming about time and time again, massive growth in house building and commercial. We do have to think about food security, because if all this land is taken away for energy, for housing, for industrial units, there won't be any land left to grow food on. And I'm very grateful to the Minister and all of her predecessors over the last 6 months for engaging on this matter and indeed coming up with a proposal, which is why I was happy to withdraw my own amendments to ensure that the new NPPF, for the first time ever, explicitly references food security as a material concern within the planning process. And I fear that is where the new clauses I read out a moment ago don't go far enough, because they do just talk about green belt as opposed to open countryside, as opposed to land used for food production. But for the last few moments, I do want to talk to Amendment 2 and urge the Minister, my honourable friend, when she replies to this debate, to perhaps clear up some of the confusion from earlier on in this debate, because I see no reason whatsoever why the infrastructure levy cannot be used to fund childcare and childcare facilities. Because if we are building housing estates, if we are building family homes, 2, 3, 4, 5-bed properties, funnily enough, not every child that lives in the families that will occupy those homes will be of school age. There will be a crying need for childcare, for early years provision. And clearly the buildings that are not attached to schools will be an important part of that, as will, going in some respect, and I'm not saying the state should take over all childcare, but some ability. I'll be delighted.
Very briefly, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Does my old friend agree, if we reference the 2019 DFE guidance, which covers this point, it is completely explicit that early years is covered within the remit of Section 106? Perhaps it would be helpful just for the Minister to be clear, as you asked, that those pieces of regulation which are owned by other departments remain in place under this legislation.
I'm very grateful to my honourable friend and agree with him entirely that those regulations do make it clear, but also that in my own experience, and it's a shame the Shadow Secretary of State isn't in her place because she was a councillor with me at the time in 2006 in Hammersmith and Fulham, where I, then charged with the community safety brief, used 106 money in part to fund additional police officers in the town centres of that borough. There is precedent out there that you can use the predecessor for infrastructure levy, you can use these sort of funds to fund some level of revenue services, which is why I urge my honourable friend, when she sums up, to acknowledge that we can do that, and indeed to be true localists, where communities determine that childcare provision is important, they should be enabled to make those deals as part of their infrastructure levies.